And tonight I want to talk to you guys about distractions in your business. Stop it, as my cat's trying to distract me. Have you guys ever felt like you're super distracted? You can't focus on the right task. You can't ever get anything accomplished. Like super overwhelmed, like frustrated, like why can't I figure this out? Like it's simple stuff, but like why is it so hard to do, right? I have actually felt that a lot in my business, a lot. Okay. So I want to first just start by saying, like, that is normal. It's normal to feel like you don't have it all figured out. It's normal to feel like you still have a lot of areas of growth. It's normal to feel like maybe you're not doing things right. And that's all part of the growth process. But if I can kind of like fine tune a little bit tonight with you guys and share some things that have helped me over time with, hang on, sorry, as you're coming in, hold on, see, distractions. If I can share with you anything that's helped me kind of fine tune my business and get super laser focused, I can tell you, if you implement some of these things that we're going to go over tonight, you will find more relief in your business. You will find that things start to become easier. But when we start about talking about minimizing distractions and like getting focused in your business, I want you to think about it just the same as you're building your belief or you're building your consistency, because that focus and being able to pay attention to that one thing you need to do and then move forward to that next thing you need to do is the same as building that belief and building that consistency. It's something that you have to work up to. It's not anything that you're going to be able to just say, okay, I'm super focused in my business and I'm never going to get distracted again. And it's never going to be like chaotic or crazy. Life's never going to get in the way or anything like that. So just first and foremost, know that whatever you're feeling right now in your business is normal. I wrote a couple notes down here. I wrote down Tony Robbins. I think a couple of you guys did that breakthrough event with me. I wasn't able to stay on all of the videos until the end, so I do want to go back and watch some replays. But something that he said was that the greatest enemy to the life that you want is the life that you're living right now. And what that means is if you can't get focused in your business, that is the biggest enemy, right? To achieving those next levels and that next rank and increasing your paycheck and growing your team and growing as a leader. That could be the biggest enemy, right? So sorry. That may be you being distracted. It may be that you're in a season where you're super busy. It may be that you're working full time, or maybe you've had to pick up an extra job, or maybe your relationships are on the rocks, or maybe your relationship with yourself is on the rocks and you need to do some inner work. There's like some uneven ground that you're standing on and you're trying to build a business on top of it. And that may be the biggest thing that's holding you back from getting that clarity and getting that focus in your business, is the fact that, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you've got to streamline those things first. And so he said, it's not that we don't have enough time to do the things that are on our heart, to do the things that we want to do. It's just that we're not doing enough of what matters most. And for some people, that means that they don't have boundaries. And for the longest time, I didn't have boundaries in my business, and I didn't feel like I could have boundaries in my business because I was just beginning, because I was just a baby, because I didn't have a team yet, right? And I felt like I had to keep going and keep pushing and keep doing all the things while being a mom and doing all the things at the house, cooking the dinners, doing the laundry, taking care of the kids, making sure that birthday presents are picked up and groceries are bought, and that there's a plan, like at my home heart. Does that make sense? And when there's not a plan and there's all that uneven ground in your home in the basic things that you need to do, then how can you build a business on top of that? And I felt for the longest time that, like, I couldn't take a break. Right. I saw all of our bigger leaders who like they take breaks on Sundays, and I'm just like, I can't. Like, I remember it was literally January, it's 1 year ago, January of 2021. I was on a FaceTime with Katie, and I was trying to pinpoint what it was that I was struggling in. And she told me I didn't believe in myself. And I said, no, that's not it. That's not the problem. And we started talking about, even though that was the problem, we started talking about, rest. She was like, you need to unplug. You need to be able to rest. And I looked at her in the face and said, I'm sorry, but I'm not a 200K and I don't deserve a rest day right now. I can't take a rest day right now because I'm not where I want to be right now. And when I saw M post the other day in the team page that a rest day is not something that you earn, that was just like, wow, like I operated in that way for a very, very long time. And not everybody has the same work ethic as me. I get that. Not everybody has the same drive, has the same, the thing. Do you know what okay, my words are getting all crazy, but not everybody has that same mentality as me. And who am I to sit there and run my business like I can't take a rest day? And what is that duplicating down in my team? Right. And so if you find yourself at a place where you feel overwhelmed or you feel distracted or you feel like you just need a freaking break, take a break. I don't want you guys to ever feel like you have to earn that. I don't want you to feel like that because you're not the right you want to be yet, or you don't have the team that you want to have yet. I don't want you to feel like you can't put your phone down. I don't care if it's bonus season and it's the last day of the month. If that's what you need, if that's what your heart needs, if that's what your business needs, then I want you to have the courage to be able to do that. And I feel like there's a lot of fear in our business when we go so hard for so long, and you feel like if you stop, if you put it down, then it's all going to fall apart. And I'm telling you, it won't. It's not all going to fall apart. If anything, it's actually going to light that spark a little bit more, because you'll have that mental break to say, you know what, this is where I'm going to shift, and this is where I'm going to pivot, and this is where I need to bring fresh energy into the next day. And for me, I didn't have boundaries in my business, and I didn't have rest in my business for years. It took me years to learn that. And we're going to talk a little bit about boundaries in a little bit, but the first thing that you have to do is, just like we were saying on your emotions behind your business a couple of Zooms ago, you have to acknowledge that you're there. You have to acknowledge that you feel distracted. You have to acknowledge that you feel frustrated, you feel overwhelmed. That's the very first part in making any progress with it. And unpopular opinion, you have to take complete ownership over that. And you have to say, I'm overwhelmed, and it's my responsibility to figure it out. I'm distracted. I've got to put a plan in place. My emotions are getting the best of my business, and I'm not showing up in the way that I need to because I haven't managed my emotions, right? Or I haven't fixed X, Y, or Z in my daily life. And so therefore, I'm showing up differently on my social media, and it feels forced, and it feels icky, and it feels like not authentic, right? And so you have to acknowledge that first and foremost, because what happens is we make our decisions, right? We make our decision on how we're going to show up, how we're going to feel, how we're going to portray our energy, right? That's something that Tony Robbins was saying on this event. I loved it. Out of the relationship day, he said, it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility, no matter what's going on, what you guys are arguing about, right? It is your responsibility for what you bring to the relationship every single day. What energy are you bringing? What attitude are you bringing? What stories, right? I know we've talked a lot about belief and red light stories and limiting beliefs, but like we have these about our daily life, right? We have these limiting beliefs about our relationships, about our business, about ourselves. And it's like, we got to check ourselves every single day. When you're in the mirror and you're brushing your teeth, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and I want you to say, what energy am I bringing to my business today? Because I get to choose it. Right? It's the same thing as having an argument with your spouse or friend or whatever, and you bring that energy into the next day. And then all of a sudden it's like, are we still on this? Right? Are we still fighting about this? Are you still mad at me about that? Right? It's the same thing if you go to pick up your business the next day and you haven't let go of the energy that you brought to it from the day before. So it's our responsibility for that. Distractions are so common, so common. You guys, I did not realize distractions were so common until I got into this business, because distractions, like whether you want to, whatever you want to say about it, but distractions are a way of life. Okay. Before you join network marketing, how many people watch the news? I don't know about y'all. Y'all might not have the same kind of habits that I have, but I have not watched the news in like 2 years. It's been almost 2 years. I refuse. I can't. But before I got into this business, I was always watching the news. I was always watching TV. I was watching reality TV to see what everybody else was doing. And it's just like distraction, right? Distraction from what I could have been doing in my own life. You take social media, right? We scroll social media all the time. Before you got into a business where you were building a business on social media, what were your social media habits? Mindless scrolling. So you cannot afford to bring that into your business. Still managing the waiting room. Sorry, you guys. So just know that distractions are super common, but it takes that discipline, like I was saying, to stay focused in your business and stay focused in your life, right? It's the same thing as if I was going to go to the gym and I had a gym goal and I wanted to lose weight or wanted to gain muscle or whatever. It takes that discipline for me to focus on what is that action that I have to take every single day or however many days a week that I'm going to the gym to achieve that goal. Is the same way that you're going to treat staying focused in your business. I thought this was interesting. So I wrote this down. I heard it on, I don't know if you guys listen to Life Church, but I listened to Pastor Craig Groeschel a lot. And he was talking, he did this sermon a couple of months ago. I don't know if it might've been years ago. And I just watched it a couple of months ago. If I'm being honest with you, I just like find random ones and I'm just like, oh my God, I need whatever title it is. I'm like, that's my message. And I was listening to it and it was talking about, he was talking about, it's not that you don't have time, it's just that you don't make time for what matters most. And he was talking about how Harvard did a study actually about distractions and about like how distracted as a human like culture, human race we are. And it said that 47% of the time people's heads are not where their feet are. And I was like, wow. I was like, really? There's no way. And then I started thinking to myself, like, how many times have you been driving and you get to your destination and you're like, oh, wow, was there a red light? Right? You're like, how did I get here? Right? It happens all the time. Or maybe you're like a chronic, okay, I have a chronic problem with looking at my text messages and it's like I mentally respond and I don't realize I don't actually respond, but like in my mind, I responded until it's like 2 or 3 days later and they come back and they're like, did you not see? And I'm like, oh, right? Because my brain was not where my feet were in that moment. My brain was somewhere else. And so it happens, right? It's our responsibility to make sure that we keep it in check though. He said, I don't remember who said this, but the ability to focus is the difference between success and failure. I think that was Tony Robbins as well. So I think that it's important for us to understand that there's 3 steps: plan, focus, execute. Okay. And I don't know who was on that batching Zoom yesterday with Rochelle, but I didn't go last week. And so yesterday was the first day I've done that. And I thought in the beginning, I was like, what are we're just gonna be like batching like photos walking around our house. Like, what are we gonna be doing? Right. But I hopped on and I was like, I will always be a student, right? I can always learn. I've got time, right? I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna learn. And it was just like mind blown. Mind blown. I think I got the things that I wanted to accomplish in my business. I think I got done in probably half the time today. And I know that we've jumped on the planning Zooms before, and it's one thing to like open up your calendar and say, okay, on Monday, post business, right? And then you write like capsules, but it's just like an idea of what you want to post about. And then the next day you're like Tuesday, payday, business post. Very vague, very, very broad, right? Is what we've been doing, or at least what I've been doing up until this point. And yesterday she broke it down and I just thought it was very freeing. It was very fresh. It felt very fresh to actually come up with like, what do you actually want to say in your posts? Like, give an example of when, yes, Karen, give an example when you overcame blank and teach blank, right? And that's going to be like a Tuesday post. And then the next one is going to be like, it was so freeing to just have that written out. I actually put it in my notes app, right? I put it in my notes app and I knew it was so easy, so much easier for me to take that idea first and then say, ooh, I know exactly what kind of picture I'm going to put with that, right? And then I can go and recreate a picture for it because I already have a vision for the way that I wanted the content to come out in my mind. And then I've already gotten I've got my plan, right? I've got my focus. And then today was execution, right? I go into my notes app, I go to my Lightroom, I pick my photo, I copy and paste my wording, and it's like, boom. When normally it would have taken me like probably 30 minutes to type out a post, and I would have gotten frustrated, especially if I wasn't in a quiet space and maybe Sean was asking me to do something or my kids were running all over the place. And, you know, we just get super, super distracted. And it would have taken me twice the time versus if I just took that time yesterday. And I just thought that was super freeing. So for those of you that did not do that, please, please, please put that on your list for this coming up Sunday to do at least the batching Zoom. If you've been on the planning Zooms, those are super helpful. They follow 1 hour later. So it's 10:30 a.m. Eastern time zone with Lenz's ID. So it's 979-180-2986. If anybody can put that in the chat. I don't even have the chat open, y'all. Lord, I'm most struggles. Okay, sorry. So plan, focus, and execute. And what I've learned is like, if you can master that executing faster, like when you feel like you have an idea to go live or an idea for a post, if you can write it in your notes app or click the freaking live button, right? Even when you're like, I don't know, like, I don't even know like what this message is, but like, I feel something, right? I feel like I need to go. I've heard this before, and it's like the magic, where the magic happens is not what's in your business plan. It's not what you write down as far as like your plan and your focus for the week. It's those little nudges. It's that, I've got a message on my heart, or I want to say this in my stories, and I just want to speak life into somebody today, or those little nudges. If you can take more action quickly on those, that's when your character comes out a little bit. And that's where you might not feel like you have the right message to say, but it's going to come across a little bit differently because you're going to be coming from here, right? Versus writing down what you like about the 3 steps and then you're going live and you're making your shake. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a little bit of different feel. So anytime, I urge you guys, I urge you, anytime you feel that little, we'll call it a God wink, follow it. Follow it, as scary as it is, right? Those have been some of it's at 10:30 a.m. Eastern with Rochelle, but it's on Lenz's ID on Sundays. Anytime I've followed those live videos or those little moments are so special. And so a lot of the times, you know, we hear it from people who are starting out their business or they're thinking about starting a business with us, right? People say, I don't have time, but we also tell that to ourselves when we get into this business, especially if you work, if you're a mom, if you're a wife, if you have other responsibilities, right? We've got moms in all levels here tonight. We've got moms of littles, we've got single mamas, we've got moms of teenagers, we've got expecting mamas, we've got, I don't even know, we've got so many different versions, right? And we're all in different seasons. And there's always going to be challenges that come with those chapters, with those seasons that we have to learn to just adapt in, right? But we're like so good at that, right? As women, we're so good at adapting and going with the flow and figuring it out along the way because we have to, right? So ask yourself, what's stealing my time? For me, stealing my time was finding myself scrolling and not actually doing the actions that I needed to do in my business. I didn't have IPAs for the longest time, y'all. I didn't talk about the business for the longest time. I was so embarrassed to talk to anybody for the longest time. And so I want you to ask you, what is stealing your time? You could turn off your notifications. That was huge for me. When I turned off my notifications on my phone, because my gut instinct when I have a notification is to look at it. And I don't care if you're just looking at it and you're not responding or like you don't think it's taking up that much time. He wants a kiss, Harry. Give him a kiss. You might not think it's taking up that much time, but the second notification, third notification, fourth notification, before you know it, you've notificationized, is that a word, yourself to the point where you're overwhelmed and you're just like, forget this, and you put the phone down and you didn't actually do the thing that you picked up the phone to do, right? So turn off your notifications in your chats, right? Turn off the notifications in the chat. Stop spending your day in the chat. It's okay if you're not the one to answer everybody's question. It'll eventually get answered, or the best part is they'll figure it out on their own, right? And I'm an Enneagram 2. I'm very much like a yellow personality. I love everybody. I like to help. I'm very much like, let me do for you and then I'll do for me later. Like I'll figure it out. But like, let me put your needs first. And so helping other people and answering their questions and stuff like that, I love doing that. But at the same time, like you got to check yourself and say, how much time and how much energy am I spending here? And then I feel depleted when it comes to putting out my own content or running my own business or talking to my own team, right? Number 2 is social media, right? So that's huge considering that we have a business on social media. Timers helped me in the very beginning when I started learning that I needed to put boundaries in my business and I needed to strictly be on in certain areas for a certain amount of time. I would actually set timers on my phone. I don't actually set timers much anymore. Every now and then I will, but now I know, after having set timers for a very long time, like I know what 5 minutes feels like. I know what 10 minutes feels like. And I can acknowledge that and I can put that boundary up in my brain and say, okay, Amber, it's been about 5 minutes. You need to put it down and you need to move on to something else. Focused IPAs. I love that Lindsay does focused IPAs because it takes away that feeling like you have to do everything in one day, right? Like we would spend like, I don't know, I used to spend like 30 minutes adding to my network. And then I'd be like, oh my God, now I gotta do it on Facebook, right? And then I would do engagements. And it's just like, if you could just do a little bit of everything in the morning, like I wake up before my kids. This is not a popular opinion. I understand that. Nobody wants to wake up before their kids. All mamas need their sleep. We all want to sleep in. I understand that. That I did not want to do either, but I'll tell you, I love waking up before my kids now, because if I don't wake up before my kids, I've done nothing to touch my business before my baby's feet hit the floor. And when they wake up, what do they want? Mama, right? And the first thing when I wake up, what's on my brain? Because I got goals, I got vision, right? My first thing on my brain is my business, right? What energy can I bring to my business today? And then it's like, kids are here, and then I'm frustrated. And I find myself in a place where I'm not giving them my best energy, right? Because I didn't give myself the discipline, the plan, the focus to actually get up and before them in the morning and get things done. And if you wake up like an hour before your kids, can I tell you what you can get done in an hour in the morning of just quiet? You could pray. You could start your morning with prayer. You could stretch. I do some yoga, right? You could stretch. You could drink a whole one of these. You could read your book, whatever book you're reading. Yeah, Karen. You could read whatever book you're reading. You could knock out a round of engagement on both platforms. You could add to your network, right? And because you've taken time on Sunday to actually think about what you wanted to post for the week, like you're a little bit more free, right? And then when your kids wake up or whatever, your husband wakes up, or it's just like the day has started, you feel a little bit more in control and a little less overwhelmed, right? Versus trying to get everything done in the little pockets of your day when the kids run off to their room, or maybe like you're at work and it's like you go to the bathroom to say happy birthday, right? To people. I've done that too. But when you're not trying to squeeze it in like that and you intentionally set time aside, because listen, I don't have it in the middle of the day always, right? Because I'm at work. And so I have to make it in the morning for me. I'm not a night owl anymore because my energy is better in the morning. And that's just something I learned along the way. So play it out. Number 3 I wrote down is like, what's stealing your time is TV. Hardly ever will we watch TV. Every now and then when Sean's on shift, like I'll just like watch one episode of like a reality something and then I'll turn it off. Like that was my little moment, right? Where I spent some time with myself. But like, other than that, I don't watch a lot of TV. I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of podcasts because I know that I have a lot of growing left to do. In myself, in my leadership and all of that. And so I actually get a lot of joy out of developing myself. And in that comes moments where you're like, oh, I'm going to share that with my audience, or oh, I'm going to make a post for that, and you write it down. But I don't watch a lot of TV. And I would bet to say that not only does TV steal your time, but these things can also steal your mindset if you're not careful. Because if you've developed yourself, like, listen, I'll give you an example. We were sitting down at dinner the other night and Sean had the news on. God, he had the news on while we were eating dinner. And I was in a great place. I was happy. I was energetic. Like I just felt really good for that day. And we sat down to eat dinner, and it was just like, everything was about COVID and mandate and kids mask. And I'm just like, but I got so frustrated. Like it drained my energy. He was like, what's wrong with you? And I was just like, just hold on a second. And I get up and I go to the remote and I turn the TV off, and he's like, really? Right? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, really. Like, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to let that penetrate my brain. I'm not going to let it affect my mindset, because then I'm going to get into a bad space, and I refuse to stay there, right? Because when I'm in a bad space, then I show up in a bad way, right? Or not in the way that I intended to. And so you have to be very, 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 very protective of your energy. Okay. And where your energy is being spent, just the same as your time. And then number 4, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but this was a big one for me, and it's avoidance behaviors. And what that means is when I would have times where I was super unorganized, super like not focused, didn't know what I wanted to post for the day, like barely got any IPAs done. It's like this little anxiety, right? And then it's like later in the day, in the afternoon, evening comes around and you're just like, oh, I haven't gotten anything done that I wanted to get done today. Like, how did I let this happen again? I did it again. I did it to myself. Like, I got to get better at this. And then I found myself deep cleaning the house because it was an avoidance behavior for me, because it was easier for me to clean the house than it was to actually sit down and make up for what I did to myself that day, right? Because there have been plenty of days where it's like, it's my off day from work. I should have more stories up than 2 and it's 8 p.m., right? Or it's my off day from work. Like, I should have been able to accomplish more because the days that I am at work, I'm a little bit more crunched. So this is my free day. This is my day to actually like work more, right? And then I find myself deep cleaning, like on my knees in the kitchen, wiping the baseboards. And I'm like, Amber, right? Like, what are you doing? And I realized that that is an avoidance behavior because it was really comfortable for me to say that I'm the problem, right? That I'm the reason why my business took so long to grow, that I'm the reason why my paychecks weren't where I wanted them to be, right? It takes a lot of courage to take full responsibility for your business, but we have to. Otherwise, you're going to dip out. You're going to become overwhelmed and you're going to be like, you know what? It's just the comp plan doesn't work, right? You're going to give yourself an excuse of why you don't like the products as much as you thought you liked the products, right? Like, you're going to give yourself an excuse. You're going to give yourself like a little open door, and then you're going to be gone. And then you're going to run into the same problem in the next chapter, right? This is why people sometimes they'll hop around a lot, because they realize, like, I actually didn't give that my full energy and my full attention, right? Like, maybe it wasn't the business, maybe it wasn't the comp plan, maybe it wasn't the leadership, maybe I had some things, maybe I needed to take ownership for where I was, right? Let's see. So find what matters most to you and get super, super consistent with that. I put on here, minimize multitasking. That was another one, because it is a crazy distraction to try to multitask, to think that you can do all things. I know that I've said this before, like, just because you think that you can do 7 things at once does not mean that you should do 7 things at once, because each of those 7 things is getting like what, 10% of you, versus if you just do the one thing and you gave it your heart, your soul, your 110, 120%, and be proud of that thing, versus 10% all day long. And then you're like, well, that was for nothing, right? And you don't feel accomplished and you start to feel overwhelmed again. Minimize multitasking. I am not perfect. I do not have all this figured out, you guys. I'm still learning right along with you. And I find myself still to this day, I will go and I'll crank that shower on. I'll say, Mama needs a minute. I need to go take a shower. Even I might not even need a shower, but I will go take a shower, right? And I will turn on that water, because I've like conditioned my kids that when I'm in the shower, like, I tell them that I can't hear them. I'm like, I can't hear you. You're gonna have to wait. And so I will crank that water on, and then I'll just sit there, right? I'll just sit there and I'll like do some engagements, or I'll try to do like a round of IPAs or something. And before I know it, I get in the shower and I got a cold ass shower, and it's my fault, right? It's my fault because I just got distracted if I would have just taken the shower, right? But like, I had a little ulterior motive there. Like, my ulterior motive was to actually get some work done, but like, I got so distracted. Now I have a cold shower. Does that make sense? It's the same thing as not understanding how you got to your destination when you probably had like 8 red lights to get there. It's a super dangerous way to drive, right? Okay. Whenever you're not answering, you're not responding to your text messages, and you mentally respond and your friend gets frustrated with you, it's not the nicest way to show up in your friendship or your relationship. And so I want you to think about your business a little bit like that. Like, if you're not giving it your full attention, your full focus in areas that you need to focus so that you can spend less time doing it, Plan, focus, execute, spend less time doing it so that you can then move on and go do other things, then it's the same thing as those dangers on the road when you don't really know how you got there, or, that friction in your friendship because you didn't respond because you were distracted. It's the same thing. It's a dangerous way to run your business. And it's damn dangerous to duplicate. Okay. What else? Increase positive self-talk. I wrote that down. I think that is important because when you find yourself in a place where maybe you've been distracted all day and you're frustrated, the easiest route is to just go, dang it, Amber, like you're so stupid. Like, why did you get yourself to this point? Like, you always do this. You're never going to fix this. It's always going to be this way. Right? You just go into this negative cycle instead of just, what I want you to do is I want you to talk positively to yourself. Right? Amber, you can do this. You can focus. Sit down 5 minutes, do the thing, be done. Right? Talk yourself into it, talk yourself through it. Let's see. I also wrote down find quiet space. That might be different for everybody. For me, it is that quiet space in the morning. You might need your quiet space late at night. I don't know. We're different people. Not everybody is going to find fulfillment, joy in 5 o'clock hour in the morning. I understand that. But for me, it's in the morning. It's quiet in the morning. I can put on that quiet music. I have grown to love that YouTube, just YouTube relaxing music. I'm a sucker. Sean laughs at me. He calls it elevator music. I'm just like, whatever. It puts me in a good space. Right. But find those quiet moments for yourself. And build that morning routine or that daily routine for you that fills your cup. So maybe I've been dabbling in stretching and yoga a little bit because it feels good to me. I wake up in the morning for quiet time because it feels good to me. I go to the gym specifically instead of doing home workouts because I need that space for my kids, right? Yes, even as a mom that works, right? I still need space from my kids so that I can think. And I'll tell you, I get a lot of stuff done at the gym sometimes. I do a lot of self-development. That's where a lot of my ideas come from. I sit in the sauna after I work out, and it's just I needed that for me. Right. And so you can sit here and tell me you can get so much more done in a home workout, 20 minutes than you could ever do at the gym. No, not for me. Right. It's finding what feels good for you and gives you that space. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is don't click messages until you're ready to actually respond to them. I don't care if you leave people and you don't answer their question or you don't acknowledge whatever they said to you in your DMs until the next day or the next day after that. It doesn't matter. You have to be aware of the energy that you're bringing to each conversation as well. Even if it's a cool message, right? You're responsible for the energy that you're bringing to that. And if you respond in a space where you're frustrated or overwhelmed, or it's the end of the day, or you're actually really, really busy right now and you don't actually have the time to give it your full attention and your full, right, energy, then the message that you send that person is not going to be empathetic, right? And it's okay to leave your messages alone. Okay? Don't even click it. If you set boundaries in your business, boundaries took me a long time. But if you set boundaries in your business, one thing I've been working on is, except for Mondays, because I love you guys, except for Mondays, my boundary that I'm working on, because it's a muscle, it's not something that's perfect every night. There are nights that I overdo it, but my goal to myself is to put my business down by 8 o'clock. Right? And putting those boundaries in your business, whether it be not answering your messages after X time, or not doing any work on your phone after whatever time, or putting your phone down when your kids get off the bus, or whatever that looks like for you, right? Put those boundaries in your business. Maybe you need a whole rest day. I know Katie takes Sundays to rest. I do actually think that's super healthy to put those boundaries in your business. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid that anything is going to crumble when you start putting boundaries. If anything, it makes you a stronger leader. It makes you not available to everybody at every time. And so you realize how to not only fill your cup in the morning because you're doing self-development, but you learn how to actually keep your cup full because you're not letting everybody else deplete it. Let's see. The last thing I want to say is just, I think just as important as the mindset is, like, if you don't have belief in yourself or a positive mindset that you can actually do this business, if you don't figure out how to get focused in your business and be less distracted on a daily basis, it will be detrimental. Right. And as we end out this month tonight, I want you to actually, I tell you guys every month, right? Screenshot those trackers so you know who you're chasing next month, right? So that you know what your goal is. What's your PPA? Are you paying attention to how fast your feet were moving this month so that you then can go and chase her next month, right? You're not chasing your sideline sisters. You're not chasing your upline. You're chasing yourself. I love that quote by Matthew McConaughey. He says, like, that story where he's like, somebody asked him who his hero is, and he's like, my hero is 10 years out, because it always keeps me somebody to chase. Think of that. Every time you turn over a brand new month, it's like, okay, I'm gonna outdo me last month. I'm gonna outdo me. I did this last month. How many samples did I sell? How many customers did I enroll? How did I grow last month? Did I do an opportunity event? Did I get out of my shell a little bit? Right? Did I go live? How often did I go live? What did I go live about? Can I now go live about something different? Can I go live about the business? Can I interview a leader? Can I, do you know what I mean? Like, find yourself for February in what you did last month, and then crank it up a little bit and chase her. Chase that tracker so that you can outdo yourself from last month. And sometimes I'll tell you, sometimes you'll surprise yourself. We are heading into a really fun season. I love springtime every year. And I know that we've got the trip coming up in February, and a lot of times they announce a lot of great things at the trips. They announce like new products and that sort of thing. But like, please do not let bonus season come around again and you're not ready to catch the ball, right? Because God's preparing us for something, right? Maybe the reason why we haven't reached our goals just yet is because we're in process. And sometimes it's okay to be in process. And sometimes it's a really beautiful thing to be in process, because when that moment comes, you realize what it was all for. And you're like, I wouldn't do it any different, right? I wouldn't do it any different. All those live videos I did where nobody showed up, or the Zooms I led where nobody showed up, or, I wouldn't do it any different. Because just like Katie says, like, that's where your character is built, you guys. I love you. I don't know, did anybody get a boomerang of our Zoom? I'm gonna do a boomerang because I just love you guys. All right, I'm gonna say good night. I love you guys. Screenshot your trackers. Okay. I don't care if you're not proud of your tracker right now, right? I don't care if it's not as high as you wanted it to be. I don't care if you feel defeated by January, right? You cannot let your emotions, right? You cannot let your tracker dictate your emotions. Your emotions dictate your tracker. And when you can get super focused, you have better emotions regarding your business, you show up a little bit differently, you attract a little bit different people. Okay. And we're going to go kill February. Okay. I love you guys. I probably shouldn't have said kill anyways. You know what I mean? Love